Hawks iced Trey. Still can't get used to him, Coach, not wearing the red, but we'll save that for another time. What's this?
Oh, that's not right.
That's as bad as you're gonna get in the KO, Kyle O'Quinn.
Yeah, KO.
To the house.
Yeah, see you.
Meanwhile, Trey.
Oh, trickery. He said trickery. Oh, no, now Trey, stop it. Now you guys been in the weight room long enough for that.
He had 23 points and 11 assists. Flotation device. The Leaves, they're calling. That's TJ Leaf, career high 28. UCLA.
Yeah.
3 seconds left in the game clock. Torian Prince.
Prince in the house.
23 points, 5 of 8 from deep, lead 2. 1 second to go. DeAndre Bembry. This is not the foul you want to take.
Oh, you didn't watch the NCAA.
As he gives Kyle Guy an opportunity for 3 free throws to get to the final. Somewhere Charles is crying. Auburn will see you next year. The Pacers, they're going to the playoffs. Hawks, very competitive basketball. Good to see them do that. We'll look forward to that next year. Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler.
Okay.
They'll be spending some time in Brooklyn. TJ McConnell, career high 18 points, 9 of 10 with 6 assists. Zaire Smith, coach 17.
That was easy. Zaire, you must be saving something. We know you can go higher than that.
Now, if your name's Shake Milton,
you better have some shake, rattle, and roll.
I mean, you better be able to do that.
You better have some shake, rattle, and roll in you then.
I mean, come on, man. Greg Monroe, 14 off the bench. League 20.
I love that big body for the playoffs.
Boban. I mean, I'll watch this guy do anything for you.
You rang, Casey. You rang.
Knows for the game. 18, 8 boards, 6 assists. Jonathan Simmons at 20. Sixers by 16. They get the Nets in a 3-6. We'll break that down in a bit. Did we say Nets? D-Wade.
Flash, your last dance, Flash.
Banana Boat Crew, from Banana Boats to, hey, remember the story of D'Angelo Russell, coach? The guy who wasn't going to succeed after that whole Laker thing? Not exactly. It's been quite a different story for him with the Nets.
Well, I have to send kudos out to him because this young man has grown up since he came. Best thing that happened to him, he wound up with the Brooklyn Nets in that organization. They helped him grow up and become more mature and understand he's a professional basketball player, act like one.
D-Wade, and we'll have much more on this later in the show, talking about his final campaign, but he wasn't done. Followed up the last game at home where he put up 30 with a triple-double, 25, 11, and 10.
Unbelievable. This last game was one more glimpse on why he had such a 16-year career. It's unforgettable.
Wade, pull up for 3.
Leave it, Flash.
Simultaneously, LeBron trying to bring him to the Lakers. Not going to happen. You know, UD had this in the bag still. Watch this. Okay.
For the triple-double, his best buddy. Come on.
The jumper, Wade out, celebrating with the team. Derrick Jones Jr.
No, he didn't. Yes, he did. When you can jump that high, you're doing around. It's like hanging on the merry-go-round.
You think of Derrick Jones Jr., you got a guy named Justice, you got a guy named Bam. I mean, they better be slamming the ball.
Exactly.
Come on, man. Wade's final points. The 3. Good. And then the goodbye.
Wade and Dirk are on the phone right now saying, should we do one more year?
Yeah.
What do you think?
One more run?
It's the young man's league.
So I asked Vince last night, like, are you done? He looked at me like it's crazy. Are you kidding me? In this league? No. I mean, still playing. We talked about some of the matchups that we have in the East. And let's start with Orlando.
Okay.
And a place near and dear to your heart.
Yep.
And let's talk about the Magic. And, Coach, we'll get the Toronto side from you. This is a team with Vucevic with stepping up the way he did. Aaron Gordon. Look, DJ, they've got a lot of players who have done just enough. Can they give Toronto a test that most don't think they can give them?
I think they can give them a test. When you look at the regular season, the series was 2-2 tied, right? And some people going to say, well, they missed some guys. Kawhi played. Lowry played. And, Coach, Coach Clifford is such a defensive-minded coach. He will figure out a way to junk up the defensive side of the ball to make Kawhi prove to us he can do what he can do on the offensive end when he gets in his ISOs. Bringing in Marc Gasol, will he be the biggest difference? Now he can guard Vucevic by himself and not have to double team. That's going to be a huge matchup. Offensively, can Ross, can those other guys make shots? In the playoffs, it's about making some shots and feeling good about yourself. If they can do that, yes, this series should be real interesting. I think Toronto still wins it, but I still think Coach Clifford can junk things up on the defensive end to make it a fun series.
Coach, it used to be about, well, the Raptors can't go any further if we don't start to get playoff performance out of Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, especially from DeRozan. Didn't get it last year. He moves on. Everybody's going to talk about Kawhi. How much do they still need it from Lowry here in this postseason if they're going to go deep into the playoffs?
Without question, Lowry has to step up and have a very, very good series. However, having said that, think about how much is riding on this for the Toronto Raptors. You got a coach fired who was coach of the year, replaced by the next guy who's done a really good job with taking change just a little bit.
Yes.
That's one thing. Then you've got the Kawhi Leonard situation riding on it. What's going to happen with him? We've seen the development of a Siakam along the way.
Yes.
They go out and they get a Marc Gasol to add depth to this team. Van Vliet is back. Pretty nice 1-2 combination of Lowry backed up by Van Vliet. So there's depth in this team. They are supposed to be in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yes.
And then whatever happens from there happens. So I think Orlando might be in for a tough time because Toronto will be reminded of what's happened to them the last couple of years when it got to playoff time.
Last year, only one team won a series when they were the road to the Pelicans. They ended up beating Portland. That was in the West. Didn't happen in the East. When we look at it this year, this is the series, Sixers and Nets. Look, Philadelphia is so talented, but it could be interesting. Let's start with the Philly side, though, DZ, and I'll give you Philadelphia. They got enough talent to go to the finals. We understand what their starting five can do. What needs to happen for them to actually now put everything together at the right time in Philly?
I'm going to start on the defensive end of the floor. Really, as we say, help the helper and trusting one another. Defensively, if they can lock down like they've shown us from time to time throughout the year and get out and run, I think they breeze through the series. Secondly, how healthy is Embiid? Because clearly he is the mismatch from day one, series one, matchup one, possession one, because now he attacks Jared Allen, who I love as a young defender, and I don't think he's ready to say, I'm going to slow down the best big man in our game today and Joel Embiid. Now, with that being said, now Kenny Atkinson has to make a decision. How often do I double team? Now Embiid has shown us he can pass out of the double team. Now you have J.J. Redick and other guys, Mike Scott coming off the bench. As we talk about their depth not being deep, a guy like that still can make enough shots to get through the series.
And teams begging Ben Simmons to shoot, something we saw last year in the playoffs. We'll see again. Coach, you've watched Kenny go to work up close. You know this team as well as anybody. What has to happen for Brooklyn to be able to pull this off and be the team that is the road team that pulls off an upset here in the finals?
Because it's such a mismatch in the center position, all right, they've got to play that style that they play, which can be most dangerous to any opponent, and that is they have a green light. You're open, you shoot the ball behind the three-point line. You pick up the box score, them shooting 40, 45 threes is not a big surprise. When they're making them, and that's what they're going to have to do against Philadelphia, is make those threes, they can be scary because they don't go away. Just when you think, we got them 12 down, 14 down, they knock down 2 or 3 threes, and they're right back in it once again. And they keep coming after you, You know, a year ago, it seemed like they lost every 1, 2, or 3-point game down the stretch after they would blow a lead. It didn't happen this year. They won a lot of those games or on into overtime, would wind up winning them. So if everything goes right for them, because, as you said, Deez, the Embiid matchup can be devastating. If he decides he wants to dominate the series, he's capable of doing that.
And how does D'Angelo Russell play with Jimmy Butler locked up on him? It's going to be very interesting to watch. Although a guy going into free agency wants to prove, obviously, that he belongs to stay there. We continue with the series and talk about the Pacers and the Celtics. And for Boston, it's kind of like, okay, second verse, same as the first. Almost the same thing with Philadelphia in terms of we know all the talent, ... Did anything make you towards the end of the season feel better about the Celtics than we did during all the ups and downs? Can they just kind of turn the switch? What Boston team do you expect to see as we get in the playoffs here?
I feel a little bit better because Gordon Hayward had finally got to a point where you say, yes, he's not 100% that all-star that you signed when he first left Utah before the injury, but you saw some flashes now where he's no longer a liability. All right, now I turn the page. Now it's all about trust. Last year, these young guys went so deep without those two guys. They've proven they can handle the heat. They can handle the bright light. But they got as far as enough where we need some more talent. We need some more leadership. We need some guys who've been there before. Now it's time for Kyrie and the young group to trust one another. Yes, they kind of called each other out a few months ago. I thought it was great for those guys to bring them together. Now prove you can do it in the playoffs.
We know about the Smart injury with the oblique. He will not play in the first round. They think maybe it'll be 1 and 2. Obviously, that'll develop. If there's anybody who's going to come down and beat whatever system it is, it's going to be Marcus Smart, who you wouldn't be surprised knocks on the door day one and is like, hey, I can play. That's the mentality Nate's group has had, especially since Oladipo went out. We know that they have all come together. They won't be frayed in terms of as a group. But do they have enough firepower offensively in a fourth quarter to score with the Celtics when you look at Kyrie on the other side, Coach?
Well, remember, Smart would have been the guy that you could say, go take Bogdanovich out of this game. Okay, just like they put him on LeBron. He fought LeBron tooth and nail, okay, for the entire game, 48 minutes. Well, that's missing, and that's going to be a concern. But Tatum is long. We're seeing Tatum now getting back to playing his best basketball of the season. You mentioned Gordon Hayward. He's playing his best basketball by far. We all know who the closer is for them, and they know the ball goes to Kyrie at the end of the game. Mr. Steady has been there all year long. We're talking about Horford in that 4 or 5 position, depending on how he matches up against the centers or power forwards from Indiana. I think it's got to be a slow game, a close game. Allow Indiana's defense to get their teeth into Boston. If they keep it close and keep the score low, you never know. If they pull one off, then all of a sudden things change.
We continue.
Slipped up All-Star Weekend.
It's like we
kind of slipped up All-Star Weekend, but I think because, Coach, Dirk didn't want that last dance, everywhere he went, the rocking chair and all the extra stuff. So that's why he tried to keep it low-key. But deep down inside, more people knew, and I'm just happy he did it in his terms.
I thought it was just because he promised Maverick legend Charles that he could be part of the night.
Oh, Charles was terrible.
It was there talking about Auburn.
He was terrible.
I mean, it is just...
Yeah, what did Shaq say last night? His nose was so brown.
It's like, all-time Maverick, Charles Barkley. Let's talk. We'll talk a lot throughout the night about this too, Coach. I'll start with you, as somebody who has coached and has seen and understands basketball overseas, and I love that Detlef was there. And my favorite line of the whole night, even though his name wasn't as big as some of the other stars, was "Thank you for waiting until I was on my way out," because otherwise he just would have been the other guy that was from Germany. How about what Dirk has meant overseas and here to the advancement of the league?
It's incredible because we have to think back that when he first came into the league, many countries got NBA games once a week.
Right.
And it might have been 4 days after the game was played that it's replayed over there on some special channel that bought the rights to an NBA game for the week. So youngsters are sitting there waiting for the NBA game to be able to pick out a player that they love and want to emulate what he does. And now you've got Dirk to follow and to emulate his game, to see him grow into an NBA All-Star, eventually an NBA champion, the longevity, 21 years in the NBA, and play the position like it hadn't been played really a whole lot. A guy who was 6'11", almost 7 feet tall, and can go out and shoot threes like they're layups, time in and time out. He changed the dynamics of the game, and think about the three-point line, what it's meant now since he came and made it so important to winning basketball.
And a guy who's so well respected as a person, and that's really the same case for D Wade. In the case of what do the cool kids say now? I'm not crying, you're crying, kind of a thing. Normally it's only when dogs die in movies, but that Bud commercial, I'm like, man, like a minute and 45 seconds in, I'm like, whoa. It's like, thank God, only my dog could see me when I was watching, because it's special, really, the relationship that D-Wade has had with the communities in the game, not just in Miami. How about for you, getting a chance to kind of get to know him and be around him, what he's meant to the game?
I think that commercial, for a lot of us who've gotten to know D-Wade personally over the years, really brought a smile to my face, because it really lets the other people throughout the world say, wow, he has been doing greater things that we knew, because he never told us. And we know there are a lot of athletes out there do things because they want the spotlight, they want the recognition, which is not totally bad. I understand. You deserve your credit. But D-Wade has done so much and saved so many lives and paid so many bills and helped people get jobs down there. So when people say that's Wade County, he just didn't earn it on the court. He earned it off the court as well. So very happy that it was worked out, that he was able to come back to Miami after leaving, going to Chicago, going to Cleveland, then coming back. Perfect ending for a perfect career for a perfect guy.
Third best shooting guard of all time?
Hands down.
Jordan, Kobe,
Hands
Wade?
down. That's it from me. He might be on the debates.
Right there.
Yeah. Right there.
There's nothing else to talk about.
3 and 4
There's
spot,
nothing
right?
else to talk about.
Somebody might say Clyde Drexel could be up there also.
Pretty good.
But
I love Clyde. But
Reggie, there are a lot of others.
Come on, love Reggie.
And you said the big thing, Miami. Kudos to that organization for getting Wade back at the end where he should be.
Yes, and to both sides for understanding that equally coming together. Denver, will they come together to make everybody think that, you maybe should have paid attention to all the wins that they were putting up during the course of the season? That remains to be seen. Again, in the twisted irony, a year ago it was the T-Wolves, who at the time had a different coach and different players. They were sitting there and we were talking about, how pretty Prince uniforms were, and they were in the playoffs.
Hold on. Those Prince uniforms are nice?
I like them.
You like them?
I like them. I'm okay with purple.
Purple rain?
Not you singing.
Okay.
Thank God that Orlando Magic song is not being sung here.
Hey, we're going to start singing again now. They made the playoffs now. We got to start singing it.
Luckily, you only be singing for a few days.
Denver
up by 1 with under 10 to go. Let's talk Nuggets here for a second. When you look at this team right now, DZ, the last even couple of days signified to me what's kind of happened with this team all season, and that is for Jokic, who needs to be one of the best players in the world in the big times for them to win. There are times where he's not very aggressive, and I know he can facilitate, and I want player and coach on this from your standpoint, if you're a teammate or his coach, because I understand how great he is with the ball, but there are times where he'll shoot twice in a game. I think he had 2 points yesterday. Too much in and out for you. What kind of Jokic has to show up for them to win?
MVP Jokic, and I agree with you, Casey and Coach. I'm not sure what that number of shots is,
right?
But his aggressive nature, that attack mode phrase we use a lot sitting here at the desk, that's what we have to see. Because if he's aggressive, attacking his matchup, now you have to double team him. He's very crafty around the basket scoring, and now he can show us his passing ability. Secondly, Millsap. Last 2 years you've been banged up a little bit. Now you're finally healthy going into the playoffs. You're supposed to be that veteran that they signed, Coach, to help them get over the hump. And last but not least, Murray. You're the young star. I think he has to be the X factor.
He's a big shot maker.
He has to shoot. I haven't said it in a while, so I'm going to say it now. He has to shoot the blood out of the basketball where people are looking like that dribble handoff they do with Nurkic and Murray when he's coming off. If that's not a potent play that really puts pressure on the defense, they could go home early.
Coach, if you're coaching against this team and you look at Jokic, how from that side do you kind of try and take him out of his element? And if you would, Coach, on the Mike Malone says he's done a fantastic job being Coach of the Year. How about Jokic kind of in and out with the aggressiveness in terms of his own shot and how often he takes it?
Well, let's go back first to his age.
Okay.
How old this young man is.
Not very.
All right. Secondly, the fact that at the beginning of the year, they had to tell him that you have to shoot the ball more, you must be more aggressive.
Right.
But that comes with growing up and maturing and not trying to, many of the players who come over from Europe or other countries to play here, they don't want to step on toes. They don't want to try and take more shots than they feel they should have because they acquiesce to the NBA star on their team.
Point. Yeah.
So taking all that into consideration, the reason Denver is where it is because of how he plays the game. You can facilitate by throwing the first pass to him, run stuff, and he'll get it to the guy coming off the screen. So you can't expect him to do way more than he's done during the regular season because that's not natural to him.
8 of 15, 17 tonight. I think he had 2 yesterday. It is, but the one thing about Denver that doesn't get enough credit, in addition to everything else, the depth. Because very quietly, for people who have not paid attention, first of all, Malik Beasley, who was a talented player at FSU, and when he was drafted, I thought he would be a guy, never really got any playing time. He has scored the basketball. There have been many games where he's leading the team in scoring. Monte Morris is a guy who was the top assist-turnover ratio guy in the country, played at Iowa State. He's been that guy when he's handled it. They have some depth on this team that maybe they don't get credit for, where they can come at you in waves with that second unit.
Casey, I'm going to disagree from the standpoint that they've gotten the credit.
Well, that's terrible.
Yes, I have to.
Go ahead.
No, they've gotten the credit for being so deep. That's why they've been the first and second seed all season long competing with Golden State. The question is, are they mature enough, and is there enough experience to say we believe they can get out of the first round, and then possibly if it's Houston or Golden State in the second round, beat them to get to the Western Conference? I think that's what most naysayers say, that I don't see enough experience there. Outside of Millsap being in the Eastern Conference Finals with the Hawks, who can say on that roster they've gone deep and say they know how to win a Game 7 or close out a Game 6 at home? That's the biggest question. Depth, being 1 and 2 all season long, they've proven that. Can you prove it now with the playoff bright lights?
Let me ask you a question. Isn't there like a guy that they took a chance on in the draft who I'm hearing has been coming along and
Michael
coming
Porter
along
Jr.?
and coming along?
No, stop it.
Now, you're not going to play now.
Stop it.
I'm just saying.
Stop it, Coach.
You've talked about depth now, so I'm just saying that they've got more in the way, perhaps.
Yes, and they're not going anywhere for a while. That's this is the beginning still of their journey.
Think about all the injuries. Everyone on the starting lineup in their first 7 rotation missed some games.
Right.
Every last one. And you still stayed 2, and you were hovering around 1 when Golden State had their little, 30 days of not knowing what they were doing. You were up at 1. So the fact that you've been able to weather that injury storm and now you're going into the playoffs healthy, do you believe, can you continue to share in your style of basketball playing through the big fella help you go deep?
Remember, Will Barton wasn't with him.
That's what I'm saying. He missed 34 games. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying now. Everyone's healthy now. Believe in what you've done all season long and take it into the playoffs.
I agree. We agree together now?
Daniel, we're back on the same page.
No, I'm not doing that with you.
Oh.
We got a lot more to come here on Game Time, including keeping you posted on what's going on in Portland. Now, I'm not going to say...
What you say? Don't sugar. It's the last thing. Say it.
All right, they don't want to win this game.
All right, there you go. Why? Why do they not want to win?
Because they want to play Utah and not Paul George and
so
Russell
instead of saying 1, 2, 3 Cancun, 1, 2, 3 Utah.
They're saying we got a better shot. We got a better shot at trying to lock down Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, we're being honest to our viewers. We're being honest.
Than the other 2 guys.
So
they basically said, here, Sacramento, here's a win. Go ahead. Here's the cheat code. We'll see you in Utah.